The Canon M50 in 2021 is still an amazing camera for cinematic videos, vlogs, and even shooting some photos. So today I'm going to give you 5 free tips on how to get cinematic video out of your Canon M50. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Air Vlogs. Before we get into this video, I already made a complete video about this camera, the Canon M50, so if you want to go see that, see what my thoughts are on the camera, you can click on the screen right up there. But anyways, let's jump into the video on how to get cinematic video with your Canon M50. Alright, so the first things I want to talk about is the things you need to get cinematic video out of this camera. And I'm not going to go recommending hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of gear, because after you buy your Canon M50, you probably don't want to be spending a whole lot more money anyways, so that's why these tips are free. So that said, you do need a lens, and I figured it'd be fair to just use the kit lens because that comes with the camera. You know, it just makes more sense to do that instead of like a $1,000 lens that you buy separately. So we're just doing the kit lens, and that's it. That's really all we're doing. We're doing handheld. We're using just SD card, battery. That's all you need. So anyways, let's jump into the next tip. Alright, so now we're on the Canon M50 right here, and the first thing you want to do is, if you're in movie mode, make sure you switch to manual. This gives you the most control and allows you to change all the settings, including shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, as well as white balance and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you switch to manual to get the most out of your Canon M50. After that, go to your white balance and switch it from auto to color temperature. So now this allows you to set your color temperature to whatever you want, and the higher the number, the warmer it gets. So set it to whatever color your light is. This basically allows your camera to completely locked in so the colors aren't shifting on you. So I would generally set it at 5600 Kelvin. That just is the most common. That's what daylight color lights are. Like the light I'm using right now to light up my face that you can't see, gonna match daylight and look the most natural. But obviously if you have different color lights, you're gonna want to use different color white balance. After that, we're gonna switch it over to 1080p 60 frames per second or 59.94. This is going to allow us to slow our footage down in post, which obviously allows for a more cinematic look, and that's what this whole video is about. I would go 4K, but for this specific demonstration, I want to go 60p because it, like I said, allows you to slow it down in post. After that, since we're going handheld, you're going to want to turn on IS, which is image stabilization. This allows for much smoother shots, but be careful, do not turn it on enhanced. Go enabled. Not enhanced, but enabled. That's gonna allow for a much better looking image. So make sure you are in enabled, not enhanced. Also, since we're using the kit lens, it has image stabilization in the lens, so that paired with the internal IS allows for a fairly smooth image, but still it's nothing compared to IBIS or a gimbal, but it will help for those little camera shakes that you get with small cameras. After that, you want to go into your focus settings. Your focus settings allow you to change from face tracking or tracking objects to a zone area to just one part autofocus. So all these are good autofocus options, but for this I'm gonna use one part autofocus because I'm not filming any subjects. But if you are and you want to track them, then that would be the autofocus to go. This just allows you to move around your focus and really dial in where this is focused. And if you want even more cinematic looking focus poles, then you can go into manual focus and use focus peaking. And the way you can do that is go into your little camera icon over here and then go into page 5 and then go into manual focus peaking settings. Here you can turn it on and off, but you want it on and turn it on high so that you will get the most peaking capabilities of this camera. And if this isn't making sense to you, basically what manual focus peaking is there's a little small outline that shows you where your subject is in focus, and you can change the color of those lines. I'll show you that right now, what that looks like, but I'm gonna leave that at red. When I pull focus, there's little red specks that are showing up. Those aren't normally there on the wall. That's just showing up because it is in focus. Alright, now that we have our settings dialed in, now is the time where we go out and shoot. So I'm going to go shoot a little cinematic sequence. I'll show you a little bit behind the scenes, and then I'll come back and show you the whole sequence put together. And then I'll talk about what I did and the next few tips for making your M50 get the most cinematic video possible. Alright, let's go out and shoot. Okay, but before we go out and shoot, I need to tell you a quick little hack tip. You know that stupid strap that comes with your camera that almost no one uses, but if you do, that's okay. Sorry, it's a dinky little strap. But what you can do is put that little strap on, put it around your head, and now you have 3 points of contact, and it gives you much smoother footage. So if you want to use that to get even more cinematic smooth video, then go for it. I'm not going to use it, but that is another tip for people who are trying to get even more smooth footage. But, alright, let's just take the Canon M50, go out, and shoot. Alright, I'll see you in a second. Alright, I just finished filming and editing that whole little sequence. I know it's a little exaggerating, it's a little weird of a short film, but the point is that it is kind of cinematic. It looks like a little film. I mean, yes, the story is kind of weird, but the Canon M50 really holds up when it comes to making cinematic videos. So the next tip I want to show you is in post, and this you could really do with any camera, but yeah, this will make your footage a lot more cinematic. Alright, so we're here in iMovie with the whole film. This is how it looks with all the sound design and everything, but basically this whole little sequence was all shot with the M50, and it was all edited in iMovie. But let me just show you a little bit of the edit and what made this look a little bit more cinematic. And the very first shot you can see is right here. This is pretty basic. This is the color grade I'm doing. Basically, really all I do is add a little bit of contrast and add a little bit less saturation and bring it over to the warmer side. And basically we're just gonna do that to every single shot. This just adds a little bit of a more cinematic tone to the actual footage, and I feel like this adds more of a cinematic vibe when you're watching it. It doesn't look insanely oversaturated, it doesn't look insanely sharp or anything. It just adds a little bit of a layer when it comes to the cinematic side of how this looks. So if you have something like Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, those are much higher end than iMovie and DaVinci Resolve, but DaVinci Resolve is still a very capable program, so I could have easily done this and done it better in DaVinci Resolve. I feel like this is more user-friendly. This is a lot easier. All the things that you have to do, it just kind of makes sense. You know, if you've never edited a video before, coming to iMovie is really not too difficult, and then you can learn a few things like little color adjustments and speed ramps, that kind of stuff. That can also make your videos look a little more cinematic. Alright, and then this color grade over here, this was really to make the whole scene look like it just went dark and kind of mysterious looking. Sorry about the fan on the computer. But this is a whole nother different color grade. Basically, I adjusted, if you want to see what the adjustments look like, that's what they look like right there. It's a pretty exaggerated color grade, but it's supposed to look like that. It's supposed to look very exaggerated. And it gets squashed. Listen to that sound right there. Oh, that is juicy. Woo! And that brings me to the next point of making more cinematic videos, and that is sound effects and sound design. You may not have noticed it, and that's kind of the point. It's just supposed to be like, oh, yeah, that's how it's supposed to sound. Not, oh, wait, I'm hearing way too much sound effects. So, all these little sound effects you see in here, I all got from the YouTube Studio sound effect thing. I don't know, whatever it is, basically, it's free and it's on the YouTube Studio. So yeah, you just go there, you get a ton of sound effects. So that's what all this music was and all of these sound effects. So what I mean by sound design is not everything has to have a sound effect, but like, you know, the palm trees are blowing in the wind, so maybe like a little bit of a wind sound effect, and then maybe changing pitches of the wind as it goes, and then when I take a step, a little, you may not have heard it, but I can hear it, and if you're wearing headphones, you'll be able to hear it even more. But yeah, just all those little details that really make a cinematic video more cinematic. When I'm watching a movie, I don't really hear or notice sound effects, but they're added. Almost everything is added in cinema when it comes to sound effects, so you may not notice it, and that's kind of the point. That's kind of a really big factor when it comes to making cinematic videos. It's color grading, slow-mo, not necessarily, but depending, and sound design. Those are three main things, and then like I said, that's just cinematic video in general, and that applies to the Canon M50 and many other cameras as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you found any tips or anything in this video helpful, then make sure to leave a like on today's video and comment down below if you want to see more videos about the M50. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. I just finished editing that whole video. That took a long time. I don't know if you guys like the new format of longer videos, but if you do, then leave a like on today's video. And yeah, I'm super tired from editing for like 5 hours, so I'll see you in the next one, guys.